In the December of 1999, I was betrayed by Santa. And 25 years later, I still want to know why. So I built a trap to catch St. Nick. A few weeks before Christmas 1999, I sat on Santa's lap and told him what I wanted. The LEGO Star Wars Snowspeeder, set number 7130. It had been released only a few months before, and between my love of Star Wars and Legos, it was at the top of my list. And Santa was the only one I trusted to make it happen. As we all know, there is a sacred contract between Mr. Claus and the children of the world. They tell him what they want, and if they are good, then their wish is granted. I held up my end of that ancient bargain, but he didn't hold up his, and I want to know why. I figured that the easiest way to get an answer was kidnapping, interrogation, and if all else fails, ransom. I've never built a trap like this, so I needed inspiration. I started with a piece of Christmas cinema that should be required viewing for all children over the age of 5. The die-hard of Christmas movies, Home Alone. It's full of ingenious traps and homemade mechanisms for defending the home from any ill-intentioned interlopers. I took careful notes, but the film presented a problem. Despite what the movie portrays, I'm pretty sure that many of these traps are potentially lethal. I didn't intend to kill Santa. After all, you can't get answers from a dead man, and I needed him to talk. So I looked at the other great source of inspiration for childhood contraptions, Mousetrap. Now, as much as I love board games, I don't think I've ever actually played a full game of Mousetrap. Even as a kid, I mostly liked building the trap, and the game just got in my way. So in the name of tradition, I completely ignored any gameplay aspects and focused entirely on just the trap part. And this is where my designs began to truly take shape. The way that each step of the machine led into the next was elegant. My own trap would work this way, with simple mechanisms triggering simple mechanisms until finally it dropped a net on that jolly old elf. With my designs complete, I began to build. The first step was to get Santa to appear where the trap is. The problem with this is that Santa traditionally visits the living room while I was building the trap in my garage, but I had a workaround. His preferred method of entry is famously through the fireplace. In fact, I believe whatever magic he uses actually requires it. So, if I make a fireplace and put it in my garage, theoretically, his own magic should force him to appear next to the trap. That combined with the fact that I decorated the place, the old man won't know the difference. Now, my family has taken issue with the placement of the tree, but I told them that we can just celebrate Christmas in the workshop. They weren't as enthusiastic about the idea as I was. Now, you may be wondering why this LEGO set is so important to me. Why am I going through all this effort? It's because it's not just a LEGO set. Not to me. It was the first LEGO set that I distinctly remember wanting. I love all things Star Wars, but the Battle of Hoth from The Empire Strikes Back will always hold a special place in my heart. The massive AT-ATs stomping across the battlefield is a core memory of mine. Seeing those huge walkers brought down by nothing but the agile little snowspeeders and ingenuity is one of my all-time favorite moments in cinema. When I first saw that set, offering 6-year-old me the chance to recreate that scene myself, I knew deep down that I needed it to be mine. But the fates had other plans for me, so here I am, using my ingenuity to right that wrong. One of the first things I wanted the trap to do was turn on the Christmas lights. This turned out to be harder than expected, but nevertheless, I tinkered away. After all, this whole spectacle needed to be festive. Despite what you may think, I'm not doing this out of a hatred for Christmas, but a love for it. In fact, it's hands down my favorite holiday. Yep, I'm one of those people. I have no problem with Christmas decorations appearing in stores in October. In fact, I think it's only fair, and I can even prove it mathematically. Spirit Halloween stores begin to open in mid-August. This is great. We get months of spooky goodness, and those otherwise empty properties get something to do for a while. It's a win-win. But this also means that Halloween gets roughly 11 weeks of attention. On the other hand, people act like it's a sign of a coming winter-themed apocalypse if anything remotely Christmas-related appears before November 1st. A mere 8.5 weeks before the holiday itself. This means that Halloween not only gets over half a month of extra time, but it also has an entire legion of spirit stores dedicated to the singular holiday. And people act like Christmas is the one hogging the calendar. Either way, who cares? Christmas is great, Halloween is great too. Let people enjoy their favorite holidays. Honestly, the world would probably be literally a better place if we spent half this time and energy on Earth Day. Anyways, I was surprised by how long this project was taking. This video was supposed to be a quick weekend build, but the mechanisms in my Rube Goldberg machine were far more finicky than I expected them to be. Each step often required things to be at the exact right angle, height, and weight. I also learned that cheap dominoes are not great at standing on end, but I kept at it, knowing that if I didn't, I would never get the answers I needed. It's also worth mentioning that Santa is not the only home intruder that has a debt to pay. The Tooth Fairy still owes me money for each of my wisdom teeth. Hopefully I can use this trap to capture her as well. The 1999 LEGO Snowspeeder wasn't just my white whale. It was also a piece of a cultural milestone. These days, there are dozens of licensed LEGO themes. Disney, Harry Potter, Avatar, Fortnite, Marvel. But Star Wars was the first, and it helped save LEGO. At the turn of the millennium, the brand was not doing well. Things were so bad that the family-owned independent toy company was almost bought out by Hasbro. In a Hail Mary attempt to save the brand, LEGO made a license deal with Lucasfilm to develop a line of Star Wars sets. A small handful of toys capturing the iconic moments from the original trilogy, shortly followed by ones for the newly released Phantom Menace. This deal opened the door for others like it, and it changed the face of LEGO forever. Literally. Because of the licensed sets, they started making flesh-toned minifigures instead of just the classic yellow ones. To this day, the company remains independent and family-owned, something that I'm grateful for as a lifelong fan of the little plastic bricks. And while researching this part of the script, I realized something wonderful. I'm an adult. That's not the wonderful part. Being an adult in 2024 is often an unpleasant experience. There is a benefit to it, though, and that's the fact that every now and then, if I budget well enough, I can spend my money on whatever I want. And in that moment, what I wanted was the 1999 LEGO Star Wars Snowspeeder. For a completely unreasonable price, you can buy an unopened one online. It even arrived before Christmas, allowing me to fulfill that wish that I'd made as a child all those years ago. And it was wonderful. In a time when many LEGO sets were overly simple, it was impressively detailed. It even holds up when compared to the more recent versions of the set that I've collected over the years in an attempt to fill the Snowspeeder-shaped hole in my heart. But as amazing as it was, it still wasn't enough to heal that old wound. Kris Kringle needed to answer for violating our sacred contract. With the days ticking down to Christmas, I knew I didn't have much time left to complete my project. The little details kept getting in the way. Parts that I thought would only take a few hours to build ended up taking days. And I have to say, after a particularly rough weekend, I've discovered a singular hatred for dominoes. I'd included them, thinking that they were an easy way to connect different sections of the trap, but over the course of the build, they slowly transformed from an easy solution to a mild annoyance, and finally, into the bane of my existence. Oh, look at the tree! And some dominoes didn't fall down! When I go to sleep, I can still see those unblinking colored pips staring back at me, mocking me, threatening to suddenly topple over with the slightest breeze and prematurely trigger random sections of the trap. But in defiance of my tortured existence, I stuck with it, waking up early every day so that I could make progress before I had to go into work, staying up later than I should have to complete mechanisms that were almost done, driven by nothing but my desire to rectify that childhood betrayal and my weird taste in Christmas music.
It was there that I attended the Cowboys' Christmas ball.
While working on the trap, I realized that there was someone who might know why Santa failed me. Everyone knows that parents have a contact at the North Pole, so I asked mine what happened all those years ago.
The Snowspeeder, well, we knew that you were way into Star Wars and way into Lego, but we didn't really fully grasp the depth of your love for both of those items and bypassed that item on your wish list for something else. I think there was another Lego on that wish list that we thought you wanted more.
Okay.
And we thought wrong.
Okay.
That story doesn't add up. First, I don't remember asking my parents for the Snowspeeder. That was something I asked Santa for. Second, they didn't answer the question. I didn't ask them why they didn't get it for me. I wanted to know why Santa didn't deliver. It was the only thing that I asked him for that year, which brought me to a terrible conclusion. My parents lied to me. This is deeply concerning. I love my parents, and I trust them implicitly. They would not violate that trust voluntarily, which meant only one thing. They were being blackmailed, and it was obvious who was responsible. This was no longer a professional matter of a violated contract. He had gone after my family. Now, it was personal. So, driven by my righteous desire to have him brought to justice, I finished my creation. The final step was to choose the bait. The best cookies in the world. Chocolate chip. Homemade. My own personal recipe. They would be the downfall of Santa Claus. I'm posting this before Christmas, so I have no idea if my trap will work or not. But while working on this project, I was faced with a terrible truth. I realized that I'm not the only one who didn't get the gift I wanted. In fact, I'm fortunate that every Christmas there were presents under the tree. Every year there are kids who don't get anything at all, no matter how good they are. Because the fact is, Santa is a tyrant. For generations, old Kris Kringle has been blackmailing children into behaving as he gorges himself on a sinful glut of cookies, sitting on his throne of lies, watching and judging us all as his legions of beleaguered elves toil endlessly. I love Christmas, and I refuse to see it ruled by a despot. I say we're overdue for a replacement. So I've taken matters into my own hands. I lied. I didn't buy the sealed 1999 Lego Snowspeeder like I had originally planned. Instead, I got a used one for a fraction of the price. The money I saved, along with the rest of the video's budget, went towards buying new sets. The kinds of sets I would have wanted when I was young. Toys for kids who may not otherwise get presents. I'm not alone in this either. Everywhere, there are toy drives to help the kids that Santa forgot and neglected. Whether it's money, time, or toys, they'll need all the help they can get. I've linked a local one in the description. So join me. Don a long red hat, stuff your face with cookies, and find a charity near you. Because together, we can overthrow the jolly old elf and give good kids everywhere the Christmas they deserve. Merry Christmas.